right, thank you very much. This is, I don't know if it's technically regularly scheduled, I assume so. Community Dialogue Working Group. With me in the room tonight, I'm John Oliver, by the way, counselor from Ward 1. We have counselors Mickley, Princeman, Raina Getz has joined us this evening. We have Alan Lovett, Counselor Lovovitz, and Counselor Bixby. And Carol, you'll have to keep me on target if I miss anything, but we are being audio and video recorded. I know I need to say that.
Yes.
For everybody here, I think I've told a few of you, but Hattie Derek Kerwin is going to join us for a couple minutes. I don't think she's online
not.
just yet. Okay, great. But we have a fairly tight time frame, so we have a fairly short agenda, mercifully. But I did want to cover 3 items, and then we can open it up and talk anything else that we need to. But we're currently targeting a February 29th at 7 p.m. public comment session. I just want to make sure that that's still okay for the majority of folks. Councilor Mickley, I know you can't make it, but we tried.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Okay. And I believe we've got the chamber for that, that's all set. And I believe that that will be, are we gonna treat that, obviously it's hybrid, but are we gonna treat that as a webinar?
That
Or it
is
TBD.
TBD. From my understanding, it was still going to be a webinar and inviting everybody. But let's just do TBD right now.
All right,
I don't want to say anything.
because I know we discussed that at the last chairs meeting, is that right?
It was at the chairs meeting, and I believe, I don't know if it was a directive, but certainly the recommendation was to at least be uniform throughout the city council.
Correct.
And I don't think we're doing webinar yet.
Right, I think
No.
you're correct,
Did they
so
send
probably
out
won't.
Did Cassidy send out a survey to counselors yet? Maybe not.
I haven't seen that yet, no.
She talked to Josh Morris about how he performed it, but
Right.
he uses pre-registration, which I would
No,
not recommend.
not. Okay.
But we'll continue. to
All right.
So I
So
don't know
that
if that's
is-
definitive, but that's my understanding.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it was kind of everybody, whatever we do, we're all gonna do the same
Yeah.
thing so that it's not by committee.
That way, if we're doing it wrong, at least everybody's doing it wrong.
Or if we're doing it right, which might
That would be
happen,
better.
might happen, you never know. So that's part of the,
Avoid confusion.
completely agreed, yes. And our own.
Well,
I don't understand.
Honest. All right, so in terms of structure or guidelines for that evening, does anyone, other than the webinar format of the actual Zoom or the format of the Zoom, does anyone have any questions, thoughts about structure, comment? You know, I assume we'll use our regular, 3-minute per person comment, we're gonna, no presentations, that sort of thing, like the standard rules would apply. But anything else that we think is important, obviously there'll be a preamble, but. Councilman.
Yeah, I think just as far as the preamble goes, I think it's important to set the expectations that the goal of that night is to get the public's opinion to inform the recommendations that we put forth, which might actually include an additional public hearing at another point, might include other discussion groups. Almost, it's a way to have the answers to our survey questions discussed and addressed in public.
I couldn't agree more. And I think there'll be some setup as to want to keep it constructive, productive, forward-looking, focused on helping us make recommendations to the full council. So, agreed.
so just to clarify, my understanding is
Councilor Lovett.
that you cannot interrupt and you can't say that you're off topic. Is that correct?
I believe that is
Just wanna-
that is correct
I
entirely.
just want to make that
Right.
clear because there may be comments that are difficult for us to hear or not on topic. We have to just listen.
Agreed.
Outreach. I'm asking you about outreach. I don't know, is there a plan for outreach?
Councilor Getz, I'm sorry. Just kidding. I'm so kidding. I know.
You guys are like in the universe.
Make it better or worse.
We've got a questionnaire for that coming out later. Right? But no, you mean in terms of publicizing, right?
Yes.
So,
Publicizing the public comment here.
Yes.
well, it would certainly go out in the packet, right, this week, right? I think also, and this is what topic I wanted to touch on with regards to the actual questionnaire that we've kind of circulated and knocked the questions around a little bit. I had sent through an email to the group Tuesday afternoon at 2:12 PM because I had to look it up. Needed to make sure that I actually sent it. There were a list of like 10 different groups that I think we could and or should enlist to not only kind of disseminate the questionnaire, but also solicit people's, attendance at that session on the 29th. Any comments on that list? It was, it was basically PTOs, PTOC, CPAC, NCE, LPAC. Off the top of my head, there was like I think a few of us had a short list of folks who had shared a lot of opinions and thoughts online as well. So I think all in all, it was a list of about 10 groups.
Media.
I think, yeah, I had both Fig City News as well as the Beacon were on there. So but like I said, it was 10 deep in terms of who and how. We can probably talk about that and just pick and choose who we communicate with, and we'll just create those assignments briefly. I don't know if we need to spend our time here doing that, but
do we want to ask the mayor to include it in her email?
excellent.
Okay.
Hattie, where are you? But no, I think that's a great idea. And actually, I think I did say the mayor's office as well as school committee.
I'm sorry. Family. I think it was a good time for Ms. Wellesley. Can I sit at the table?
Please, we would prefer that.
I like the kitty.
And just for the record, you were invited
Yes,
to the
thank you.
adult thing. But we're being joined by Hattie Kerwin. Derek, how are you this
Hi.
evening?
I'm okay, sorry.
Fabulous, fabulous. Thank you for joining us. We were actually just talking about enlisting help in distributing not only the questionnaire that this group wants to put out, but soliciting attendance for the live session on the 29th. And we were kind of hoping that as we're kind of building all of this together, that we can enlist your help. Perhaps the mayor could put something out or include that in her newsletter. We can create that blurb for you.
So other councils, newsletters.
Absolutely.
Was that on your list as well?
I'm gonna guess I might have gotten there, yeah.
Okay. Just.
I hope so, if
that-
not-
That we approach. those
Yep.
who-
Yeah,
Anybody
agreed.
We talked about it. I don't remember if it was on your list. We can-
Okay, fair enough, yeah, totally. And Hattie, you were here to kind of help share some of your thoughts, thinking that, you and the mayor's office were going through. Now might be a good time as any to help us out with that, if
Thank
you don't
you.
mind.
Thanks for having me again. I apologize for being tardy. So we have been talking about what we'd like to do, community-wide. One of the things that we've talked about is a community read, which we haven't done in a few years. And we're looking for something both youth-focused as well as adult-focused. If it can be the same book, that would be great, but we haven't landed on what that book is yet. We're working obviously with Jill at the library on that. Maybe coming out in May, at the community breakfast. And having it start then, if we sell books, maybe sell them then. We haven't fully fleshed it out. But I think oftentimes literature is a way to a common ground. And if we can get something in other languages, we are looking at that as well. I think it's important. And having, some time and then coming together as a community to discuss. We're also looking at the community breakfast as a time to come together. We had already been doing some DEI work. And part of that is a community survey. We had stopped it because we were supposed to go live at the beginning of the strike. But for obvious reasons did not go out with that. So that should be coming out in the next couple of weeks. Some of the questions will be similar. But it's really, that was another component already in place that we're following through on. We're looking at different other events. Newton serves as something to bring community together, expanding that a little bit. We have, this is our 150th year, as everyone knows. So we're looking at a pancake breakfast in June and doing something at that. So not necessarily creating more events or additional events, but using what we've already have in our infrastructure to expand upon. I think everyone here knows that it's hard to put on an event, and why create more work for people, and why not use things that already are bringing people together. And we have some other things that I don't, that
I'm
we'll
ready for
discuss.
prime time, yeah.
Yeah.
And you had said, sorry, the survey might be coming back around in
In a couple of weeks, yeah,
weeks?
yeah. And that has two components, there's a written community survey translated in different languages. There's also a community focus groups where we're asking different groups to speak one-on-one with the group that we're working with. So,
Like a moderator?
yeah,
Facilitator?
yeah.
Okay. And how many groups do you think have you gotten that far down?
We
the
haven't
road?
gotten that far down.
Okay.
And again, we took a little hiatus just because we were busy doing some other things.
Sure.
So,
Just
but
got-
we're, yeah. And we also didn't want it to, the focus is really the survey, the community feedback. We wanted people to, 11 days, people were doing other things. And we want, people to concentrate on this.
I understand. Any questions, folks? No?
And we're, everyone knows where I am. So I'm always where feedback is helpful. We did get some, in the mayor's update 2 weeks ago now. We got some feedback from community members that we're following up on, I'm following up on. So, I'm open to hearing what other people, it's not just me. It's really the community taking part in this.
Great, thank you.
I guess, what is the motivating, sort of common denominator here behind these activities?
It's bringing people together, everyone's like, oh, we've been through so much. We did have 3 years where we couldn't come together. I think it's bringing people together to talk in a civil way. And I think that really is it. Some of the conversations will be geared, but it's bringing people together. And I think that it's important.
And I'll also add that I did or have spoken to not only the school committee chair, Bresky, but also to Dr. Nolan to continue to coordinate all of our efforts. So far, it's been by email. I'm looking forward to connecting with them and just making sure that not only are they well aware of what we're collectively doing, but vice versa. And I am assuming that they'll be happy to attend or send attendees to our event on the 29th as well. So just as a quick update. Make sense? Yeah, please.
So one thing that came out of that, which is, I think, also very important, is translations. If there's a way that we could get, I think our survey should be short enough that it would be, I don't know, if we could utilize the same
Ours
resources.
is, well, the survey that we have so far is on the Google platform.
Right.
And you're one click
translates to
away
it.
from,
Okay.
yeah, so yes,
Yeah.
couldn't agree
But
more.
We might need to be prepared for.
I thought you were
anything.
about to say in the chambers.
Oh, well,
boy,
that would be hard.
That would be not,
No, but if so there are a couple of things.
Yep.
I'm looking at Carol because we do have
We
use
used
of,
it today.
I know. We do use a company for translation in City Hall because we've always wanted City Hall to be accessible to everyone. So every department has that use. So we can, get a translator, but if you do a hybrid option for your meeting, you can translate that now. That's one of the 3 years were awful. There are some good things that came out of it. Zoom, having the closed captioning and having the ability to translate through Zoom. So that is, and I'm happy to, prior to the what was the date, 29th?
29.
We can talk through those logistics, because it is important that people have
Yeah, I
access.
agree. And
And
we have
Jacqueline
that.
is, gonna be.
Okay.
But we know how to translate it, June, but we'll get together.
Fantastic, love it.
Um,
Yes, sir.
Another group to make sure we engage out.
Yep.
Might be good to reach out to the Teachers Association, to the Parent Educator Collaborative.
Yep.
To make sure they're aware of this, that educators have a chance to be part of this discussion too.
Agree completely. Yep. Very good. Boy, I hope they were on my list of 10. If not, they're about to.
Wrong list now.
That's right.
Yeah, it's wrong.
But thank you. No, great call out.
Area councils, do you have?
Area councils, I don't think I had them on there. I like that one too. All right. And we can obviously add to that list as we think of it, but I think we've got a pretty darn good start on it, so. They're good? All right, and before, like, those were the several questions or topics that I had on the agenda for tonight. Does anybody else want to add anything that we're thinking of?
Are we set with the question yet?
I believe so.
Questions?
I've sent it around a couple of times. I've had a few comments. I think I've incorporated them. I sent it around again this afternoon. And if there's anything that I haven't missed or didn't translate unintended correctly, please do let me know.
The suggestions was.
Okay. And then I think in terms of, sorry.
Yeah, so just distribution that we're talking about.
Yep, I was just gonna say, the minute that that's kind of, set as far as we're concerned, and we can always change it over time as well. I prefer not to, but we could. Then in terms of like, I figure tomorrow, we could just literally, I'll recreate that list of distribution, and we can all just sign up for some groups we'll distribute it to or work with. I think I have contact information for pretty much all of the groups that we've talked about. I think so. And we can just kind of pick and choose. Okay, great, thank you.
I feel comfortable when you're assigning it. I don't really care, so I don't know if people do this. I mean, it's up.
I can do it that way too. All right,
Unless
I will do that.
somebody has a preference.
Is there some sort of, sorry,
Yes.
some sort of a prompt for the comments we're going to receive? We have
Like
the committee.
Yep.
We can all speak for a minute before public comments, anything like that. But it might be good with the notice to provide a little bit of direction or open, but direction, like, this is what we're looking for in your comments.
Sort of like the preamble that we're gonna say.
Yeah.
People can come and say whatever they want. You've been
Correct.
clear about that. It would be
Ideally-
helpful to let them know what we're looking
Correct.
for.
And I
Would you
think
like
that
on the
the,
agenda? Like, would you
Yeah, that
Put public comments
I think-
concerning.
Yep.
Yes.
Are you doing a time limit?
yep, well, yeah, because we do our standard is like 3 minutes, but you're right.
We were thinking
You're
of
right.
15 seconds.
Okay. Just let us know if we're over anything you want us to add to that
Yeah,
agenda.
no, I appreciate that, because I think I did an abridged version at the top of that questionnaire.
Right.
And I think we probably want a slightly longer version, but yeah, I agree completely.
And just as far as distribution, I'm personally planning to include a survey and notice the public hearing in my monthly newsletter. which-
That is acceptable.
That's acceptable, great, I just wanted
Of
to make
course,
sure.
yep, yeah,
And
totally.
obviously encourage everyone that sends monthly newsletters to.
Yep.
Put it, so I'll probably drop it beginning of next week or so,
Fantastic. I think my only comment is let's make sure that we're locked and ready to go with the question.
How long are you allowing for people to respond?
As of right now, my only thought on that topic is I do want to get it out there relatively soon, like in the next 24 to 48 hours. We have a responsibility to make recommendations to the full council on March 15th, on or about. And then if we're still getting a fair amount of feedback and people are still finding it valuable to contribute, my intent would be to leave that open. Right? a good idea can not only come from anywhere, it can come anytime.
Yep.
So. At least that's my thought.
I like it.
The only
Councilor
other thought,
Getz.
yes, the only other thought that I'm having is, can you quantify the survey in any way? Does it lead itself to that?
So I had this conversation on Friday. And if by quantify it, you mean literally move away from some of the qualitative questions and get on a scale from 1 to 5, 1 to 10, that sort of thing?
In a way that you get an overview and you can actually take this content and this data and you can actually then in some way extrapolate it to this is the, the overwhelming consensus of the community, that kind of, and
Yeah, I think my intent, my intent right now is to go through and like literally create themes that we will be able to assign like, hey, we have 50 comments that touch on theme A, 80 on theme B, but I am specifically trying to steer away from, here are 10 statements, rank each one, rank order them or rate each one, how much do you agree, disagree? Because I don't want to get the 10 statements wrong. That's not, I don't want to presume I know what those 10 statements are. So that's why I've left the questions as kind of open-ended, at least for the most part. For the most part, they're open-ended right now. And then once we get to themes, we will be able to quantify, this one's, if you think of it in terms of a heat map, here are the 3 that float to the top, here are the 3 that aren't.
no,
or
that
whatever.
sounds great. That actually sounds
So.
very productive. The sense of where it evolves and, where we.
There's work involved with that, but yes, I think that's where we're going with it.
Will we all have access to the answers?
Yep, all of the answers not only will we all have access to them, but my intent is also to share that file out once we've had the ability to make sure that that nobody put contact information in there, that sort of thing, no PII, nothing like that, right? See, look at that, I got nodding going on, that's great, I love that. But that's my
I
intent.
think if you could identify the themes, and then,
We can identify.
well, maybe you could take a first shot at it, and then we could, if we look at the data and we see something else, we can, I think it would be more efficient if you.
I think
could-
you're probably
If you could do that.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not, but we want to do that together, we could, but I think that would take a long,
It would take a
long
long
time.
time. I do think we should review them together as a group to validate the themes, because that's one of the precursors to getting into recommendations
Mhm.
to the full council. Okay,
So I'm just trying to sort of structure this
Yep.
in my mind. And I pulled up the Google Doc to look back at the questions that we had for the questionnaire,
Okay.
which I think is great. And I think the questionnaire is what was your experience like during the strike? What did you learn from this? What information did you need? It's pretty open-ended. There could be a lot in there.
I think so.
It feels like if we put a link to the questionnaire with all the notices
Mhm.
and ask people to come and talk to us on the 29th, to fill out the questionnaire and come talk to us on the 29th, perhaps referencing their experience, but really try to gear the comments on the 29th towards, as a result, what do we recommend, you recommend to the city council as actions that can be taken? It feels like that's a way to sort of frame and structure this in a way that's a little bit more digestible.
So I was, when I said I had some additions to the questionnaire, it was around what you just said. Actually putting that into this questionnaire, suggestions or
Mhm.
information or access to information that you don't have now, something around that. So I don't know how people feel. I mean, that was like, what I was thinking about. I don't know how people feel about adding that to the questionnaire. Or incorporating into your last question, that was my.
Okay.
thought.
I think it could, especially if people can fill out the questionnaire on their own time, but may not be able to come on the 29th.
Of course.
It gives them the outlet to, this is what I would have said on the 29th
Mhm.
in the box type of thing. So I apologize if I plagiarized your idea that I didn't know you had.
Got it?
May I ask a question?
Of course.
So someone gets the survey. If they need assistance in filling out the survey, because there are some residents who aren't tech savvy, even though a Google Doc is easy, is there a place that they could, a person they can reach out to for help? I just put it back.
Sorry, no, that's a great question.
I-
I hadn't contemplated that.
Hard copies
Yes,
and have
and
it
have
up in the
them
calendar for sure.
Printed copies.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all.
That's a good idea.
But you may want to put that in the newsletter if you cannot. Maybe you're gladly will.
I just,
Should
you know,
not
'cause-
put it in the ballot box. We
We
find also,
can,
Yeah,
but,
you do.
you know,
we found a butter knife, so that's.
Oh, okay.
Just a butter.
I've actually been looking for that.
Probably trying to fish something out.
But no, we can, and I don't know, if you want to have some up here because sometimes
Right.
people go straight to the mayor's office.
For customer service.
Sure, customer service.
That's great, good idea.
I'm happy to work with you if you want offline on language for the actual,
Would love it.
any of it. Look
Sure.
at the things, look at the top.
Yeah, I think, yeah, no, I would, well, take all the help I can get because Council Lovett just wants to, you know. have-
You have first pass.
Right, you know the set too. Okay, got it, yeah. Yeah.
This is better, right?
Although working-
So you may want to-
This is a voter guy.
Yeah.
Not a voter, you know.
All right, well, that's where we're at.
So do you want to put some sort of like, please, you know, if you're able, fill it out by March 8th or some sort
Yeah,
of.
I think that, you know,
I think you
we
have to
do
have
want to
some-
put it
even though
in
you wanna
target.
leave it
Target.
Open. you
Yeah,
have
for
to
a
have
while,
something.
yeah. Maybe we put that actually in the promotional materials
Yeah.
that go out for the next.
So March 8th would
10 days.
be,
That's a week before.
right, but our deadline's a Friday, so.
Mhm.
The 15th is
Yeah.
Friday.
ourselves.
I think so.
Um,
Unless, of course, we're gonna call a special meeting in the city council on Friday. I don't know if that's ever been done before. That could be exciting.
I have heard it's not done.
All right, well, then I'm not gonna pull that. I'm not.
To
pulling
provide
that.
dinner, sure.
Yeah, right, right,
That would give us, you know, 2 weekends, a week to.
right, to kind of pull it together, get the team going. Okay, good call. And I'll, obviously, in my notes, I'll kind of include kind of the steps we just talked about and kind of, I'll bring forward the list of promoters, if you will, allow me that, liberty with that collective term. Are we good otherwise for now, at least? Fantastic.
Good, I think we're done tonight.
Yeah.
Well, fair enough, yeah, right.
Got
All
a
right.
long night.
Well, thanks everyone for joining us in the room as well.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn. How do we say?
Sure.
Second.
Do we have a second?
No.
Fantastic. I believe we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.